Hi. Hello. Greetings. Uh, this is impromptu. Hello, everyone. I'm just jumping on. Um, I wanted to sort of give an update on everything. Why there hasn't been a lot of videos. What's happening with Wellsville Nights. What's happening with the Crept in the '80s. All that good stuff. And if people happen to jump on, great. If not, that's okay. Um, Again, I just wanted to sort of give everyone an update on what is happening. So the reason there hasn't been a lot of video for a Crep from the '80s is really simply because well, two reasons. I like doing this show or this channel when I do themed shows, '80s centric shows. I really enjoy doing it with other people. Um, and there's just the people who are usually involved in the videos with me. They don't, they have lives, and whether or not they really want to do it with me or not is one thing. Uh, you know, it could be there could be a real excuse and there could be a fake excuse. Whatever it is, um, not everyone can do the shows when I want to do the shows. Um, and it seems kind of hard even to schedule a weekly show because people's schedules are just all over the place. Or again, they just are might not want to do it, which is fine. But I prefer to do an episode of A Crep from the '80s with somebody. It's great to get their opinion, get their memories, get their take on the subject that I'm talking about. It's fun to go off of somebody. Um, I don't hate doing it alone, but it's a lot more fun when someone's right there with you and playing off of you. And that is just seems to be very tough to pull off these days. Um, so that's one issue or one reason why there hasn't been a lot of videos lately. Another reason is, quite frankly, I have been busy putting this show together, this Wellsville Nights project for Warlock Home Video. It's been the most extensive pre-production that I certainly have ever done in the 31 years of making movies. Uh, it's funny. I looked up a notebook. I was going through notebooks the other couple weeks ago, and the first time that I wrote down the project for Wellsville Nights was like 5, 6 years ago in this notebook when I was finishing um, Death o' Lantern the remake. So that was indeed like 5 years ago or 6 years ago now. I don't know. I don't know, but it was a long time ago. And so the Wellsville Nights project, the early ideas that I had were written right down, and the title Wellsville Nights is in there. So it's been marinating for a long time, and now we're at a point where it's been like a year, oh, about a year and some change, a year and a half almost. That I've sort of been full bore with Wellsville Nights. First writing the pilot and putting the whole development project together, taking the idea to Casey and Clint and wanting them to get on board and doing the read through of the pilot with the cast. That's all been over a year. Um, and it's exponentially getting larger and taking more time and with a possible and hopeful pilot shoot date for July 29th. Things are moving fast and furious. Things are changing a lot, which I will talk about, and but I expect that, especially, I mean, with the amount of stuff that I've done throughout the years, I certainly know that not everything is going to go smoothly, and sure enough, things aren't going as smooth as they were for the project. But that has been taking up a lot of my time, and believe me, I have a page worth of um, it crept from the '80s themed shows that I want to do, and a nice chunk of them would involve other people. But it takes two to tango. So, um, if there's some people out there, you fans, if you wanna, if you wanna do a show with me, via Zoom or whatever, or StreamYards or whatever for a Crept, and we talk about these subjects. Let me know if you want to join me, and we can rock and roll on this stuff. Because I want to. Um, but yeah, so that's there's always something. It's and again when I am doing this channel, uh, primarily just as a part of fun and joy. Um, Unfortunately for the viewers, for the fans, there is no set time, uh, and I'm thankful for the people who have stuck around and who are still here, uh, wanting to be a part of the channel and still communicate. That's great for these few and far between shows that pop up. Um, I probably should set like a live show like every other week, which would be at least making sure there's something new and I can still communicate and connect with the audience that we have here. I see that the numbers are growing. I know that we're at 1,600 uh, subscribers now, which is awesome. So sweet. And this is a channel again that I don't promote that much. It's not a monetized channel. It is strictly just for fun and getting to talk to other like-minded folks about the same shit that I love. And then, of course, certainly pouring the movie content onto the channel, which I hope that doesn't uh, sort of alienate the '80s fans and the the nostalgia junkies who come to the channel for that content. This channel is sort of always. I mean, it even says it in the what this channel is about. It's about everything that I love and everything that I'm a part of, and I am a filmmaker, so there's going to be content on this channel that is about the films that I make and behind the scenes and the new stuff and promoting and all that stuff. So it's just a mix of everything, and hopefully there's enough here on the channel to keep you coming back. Um, so, but as for Wellsville Nights, um, the progress, it's so for a nice chunk there, it was going pretty fast and furious. Things were happening almost on a daily basis. Um, and now things have slowed down for sure. Um, Maybe not slowed down, but we're coming into contact with issues, which again, doing what I've done for so long, I am totally. I know that's going to happen. Um, but it definitely, as far as the fan donations go for we're trying to raise 5 grand for the pilot to shoot the pilot at the end of July, and we've raised about 1,200 so far from the fans, which is amazing, which is great. Um, and that has slowed. That definitely has slowed. So if you do want to donate to the project, um, please let us know. Again, we only need to raise 5 grand, and we've already raised 1,200 of that 5 grand. You can get a hold of me at warlockhomevideo@gmail.com, and I can give you all the info and tell you what it's all about. And we're not quite going to do the Kickstarter thing just yet. We kind of want to wait for the outcome of the pilot, because we do want to pitch the whole show as a whole. The and people who may not know, but we've already planned out the first 4 seasons of this series, Wellsville Nights. The first season of 8 episodes we already wrote, uh, and we want to shoot this pilot. We want to present the whole package as a pitch package, to as many streaming sites as possible to see if we can get somebody on board who would want to jump on as a producer of the show, and so we wouldn't have to do it ourselves, um, as far as that first season goes. Um, and if that doesn't work out, we do eventually. Yes, we do want to shoot this first season on our own if that is the case, and that is where Kickstarter would certainly come in, so that we would be able to shoot that entire first season, and and that would also entail building the sets, because for the pilot, it's we are just going to sort of rent 2 days worth of a school, um, and shoot at an actual school, which has been one of the issues we're having. Um, it's the insurance has been kind of odd to get locked down for that. It's surprisingly not as expensive as people would think, to secure the insurance for the shoot that we're doing, and on the budget that we're doing it, and the amount of people that are involved, which is not a lot. But it's locking down the right insurance that will cover it, and that is we're running into some issues there. There's 2 schools that I'm kind of like teetering on, uh, what's right, what's not for this project. My gut feeling on the certain schools, what have you, the price of the schools, but also price slash convenience of the schools for the pilot. So there's that. Um, there's been some people, which again happens when I'm making films, but there's been some very flaky individuals, people who are just kind of holding up some things. Um, uh, we got a really big and great initial um, group of people who want to audition for the show, because we did have to. I do have to cast 3 individuals. Most of the show is cast, but I have to cast 3 other outside folk who have not been a part of LVP or Warlock, and would be new to what this whole world is. And we got a big rush of initial people who were interested, but we still didn't get. We haven't gotten any uh, taped auditions, which is odd. Um, and the end of that period is coming up. The After the first week of April. So that's a little strange. And it's like as the people who are putting this together, as the guy who wrote and directed this and is trying to put this together, it's the sooner the better. The sooner we can lock down things, the sooner we can lock down actors, the sooner we can lock down budget, the sooner we can, lock down the school and all of that stuff. It's, again, the end of July may seem like you've got some time, but really, I don't. So it would be nice if all of this was sort of locked in by May. Uh, so I mean, that's what's happening with Wellsville Nights. It's still cruising along, but there's been some kinks in the whole thing. Hello, Retro J85. Greetings from the UK. Hello. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad somebody is popping in, and if you want to talk, do you have any subjects you want to talk about? Anything? That's great. I just came on initially to sort of tell people what the hell was going on, why there hasn't been a stream of videos, and what was happening with Wellsville Nights, my my TV show, comedy horror TV show that is poking fun at 80s teen dramas. Um, but that is, if you want to know more and if you do want to help and donate to the project, you can get a hold of me again at warlockhomevideo@gmail.com. And I'll let you know what the hell is going on with Wellsville Nights and how you can be a part of it and help out. But that's that. Right now. I'm on the cusp. I'm about to go. Interestingly enough, to sort of help move things along with the project, I am on my way to Florida tonight. I'm leaving tonight to go stay with Clint Kelly, who is, of course, a good friend and our cinematographer for all the films that we do. And he is one of the shooters for Wellsville Nights, and I have to go out there. He lives in Florida, and it's dealing with the cameras that we're dealing with for this because we want to go back and make it as authentic as possible the way we're shooting. So, and everything shot to tape back then, um, 4:3, you know, um, multicam, soft lighting, all of that stuff. I need to see and do some test footage with him firsthand. So that's part of why I'm going out there to Florida is to work with the cameras that he has. Our buddy Zach Oliveris is also shooting. We're having the two shooters, and he's got some great stuff. So we're also going to be doing a uh, a Zoom meeting out there in Florida with Zach, um, so we can sort of mind meld together and get the camera the way that I want it shot and what they're going to need. We really need a producer on this thing, and that would be great. I think we've never the budgets have never been enough to where I can hire a producer to help me make these films, and so like I always take it upon myself uh, to do everything. But I dole out things to the cast and crew, but that is the crew is the cast usually. We don't have a large. I mean, we have a group of like 15 people who are a part of LVP and Warlock and my best friends, but this isn't their job. They come out to help me as best they can, and you know, they don't want to be doing it either, and I certainly don't like it. So it would be nice on this project to have a producer to help. Um, Sorry, guys. Um, anyway, so that's what's happening. I am going out to Florida for a few days, And then when I get back, um, I gotta start sending out those Teenate masks. We got the Teenate masks in from the people who ordered the Teenate masks. Still working on the LBP Classics Volume 3 Blu-ray, which is Scrotal Vengeance and the Karaoke Kid double feature. The editing of Karaoke Kid is happening, and a lot of the special features are already done for the disc. It just looks like it's going to be, as I said, this thing probably won't go out until the end of April, the Volume 3 Blu-ray. But the Teenate masks are in, so the people who ordered those Teenate masks, I will start shipping next week. So thank you for that, folks. Um, 80s, the 80s stuff. Believe me, it's still churning in my heart. I'm still creeping, still there. I turned 45 this year. I have a lot of thoughts on that internally, emotionally. Um, but yeah, the 80s are still, it's still very much a part of who I am. And so don't worry, that's, more 80s content is coming. And there's going to be some more 90s content coming as well. And I put down the 90s a lot because musically, aesthetically, I am not a fan of the 90s. And I wasn't when I was living as a teen and 20 something in the 90s. Um, Mind you, I was having a blast because it was a very prominent time in my, you know, burgeoning and budding filmmaking persona and career, quote unquote career. Um, but as a pop culture landscape, the 90s, uh, eh. So the 80s are still very much a part of me and this channel. And don't worry, there's more 80s content. And again, like I said, I have a whole page written down of content that we need to shoot. Um, and the first one coming up is favorite 80s television and cartoon theme songs. And I have a lot. They're all written down already. Um, and I am excited to do that. Also coming up, I know, fans of this channel and some of the hardcore fans who have sort of been there from the get-go know that I put on this thing called Saturday Morning Sleepover, and I am doing the next Saturday Morning Sleepover in May. And I am very excited about it because I am also inviting some hardcore fans of Crept from the 80s to be a part of Saturday Morning Sleepover for the first time. And those of you who don't know what Saturday Morning Sleepover is, it's a marathon that I do in my home with a bunch of like-minded individuals who want to relive their childhood for a day, and it is a full day. I edit together 10 hours of nonstop 80s and early 90s television, cartoons, commercials, and music videos, and it's all edited together that I curate myself. Uh, and then, you know, on a certain day, on a Saturday, from morning till night, we throw on our PJs, our most comfortable clothes, whatever it is, get some snacks and drinks and you know stuff that we would have had as kids, cereals as well, and we just sit there, a whole bunch of us, and we watch this marathon of our childhood coming back to us, and it's a shit ton of fun. And so the next one is May 15th, May 15th or 16th, May, whatever that Saturday is, but that is happening, and some fans of the channel are going to have an opportunity to come and be a part of it, which is pretty sweet and exciting for me because I'm gonna love just watching, you know, new faces sort of um smile and relive their childhood nostalgia and all that stuff. It's gonna be fun. Uh, but yeah, so that's it. That's the updates really happening right now. I don't know if there's any more people here who want to pop on and talk. If you have questions, if there's anything that you want to talk about that's related to anything geeky or 80s or anything like that, then by all means, you can ask away. But really, this was just, instead of setting up a whole camera thing and editing and all that stuff, I just said, fuck it, we'll just go on and I'll give the updates live. If anyone pops on, great. If not, at least I'm, relaying the info on here. But yeah, so all right. Doesn't look like anyone is here, but that's okay. Like I just said, so I will say I will bid you adieu until next time. Until man, uh, until we shoot this extra stuff that I want to shoot for the channel. But yeah, that's it, guys. So thanks for popping in. Thanks for watching. Oh, oh, someone said someone is saying something. So I guess I'll Rollin Films. Rollin Films. Favorite 80 movie? It's too hard to lock down, my friend. Um, it's my favorite decade of all time, and it's my favorite decade of film. So there's a lot. There's so many. Uh, I have too many. I do have a favorite 80s horror film, and I'm a huge horror fan. My favorite 80s horror movie is Fright Night from 1985. I have a shrine dedicated to that film down in the theater room. But it's yeah, I mean, it's too tough. I love. I mean, my favorite '80s movie would be all of the '80s movies that I love. Of course, I've seen Sleepaway Camp. Yes, I love Sleepaway Camp as well. Um, but yeah, I mean, favorite. That's whew, it's a tough one. Too much. I can't name a favorite. I really can't. Um, and even in the horror category, yeah, I say Fright Night '85 is my favorite horror film of all time, but right behind that is a list of at least 100 other horror films that I absolutely adore and love. So, um, yeah, I don't mind Sleepaway Camp 2 that much. Sleepaway Camp 3, I do not like. They shot Sleepaway Camp 2 and 3 back to back. And 2, they really wanted to make a film, a sequel. And then 3, you could tell that they were just like, well, the budget's running out. Let's go out in the woods and just shoot this real quick. Um, but yeah, but the first one is a classic. I remember a couple of years ago, my son and his friends were in the theater room, and one of his buddies was like, "Let's put on Sleepaway Camp," and I was laughing. I was just like, "Oh, I can't wait to find out what you think of this movie." And what was funny was I was upstairs and the theater room is downstairs, and I could hear the moment at the end of Sleepaway Camp, the crazy moment, and I could hear all of the kids. Well, they were teenagers. I could hear them all downstairs reacting to the scene, and my son was going, "No, no, no, no!" And I ran downstairs and I just started laughing. And I was like, "Well, what'd you think?" It was so funny. Bunch of 13, 14 year olds reacting to that movie for the first time. And I mean, I was younger when I saw Sleepaway Camp. I totally was right there. I got that emotion as well. I get it. But yeah, Sleepaway Camp's great. You know. Do you have a favorite 80s movie? I think if you ask any like hardcore 80s nut or somebody who was there, and I was there, uh, it's tough. It's really tough. And I'm very specific and I'm picky about the genres that I love in any sort of pop culture space. I am not I'm very specific. I don't like dramas, like actual like you know uh fucking something like Forrest Gump or Philadelphia or movies like that. I don't like. I'm not gonna watch. I have no interest in it. As I've said before, um, I live real life. I don't want to watch real life. I don't care about inspirational stories of people overcoming adversity by you know being a football player or something like that. It does nothing for me, and I don't like sports at all. So sports movies, I'm just like, what the fuck, I don't care. So again, I'm very specific. People love that stuff. It's just not for me, and it never has been for me since I was a kid. I just don't care. Well, yeah, Back to the Future is one of the greatest films of all time, hands down. It's a perfect film. Breakfast Club is also amazing. It's not my favorite John Hughes movie. Okay, you were born in '83. Yeah, I was 77. Um, yeah, I mean, most of those movies because they were, because it was happening then. They have that '80s feel. Uh, it's few and far between nowadays when somebody is trying to recreate that feeling in a modern film. It's very tough, and I think for the most part, people sort of miss the mark. There's only been a few people who I think have really been able to capture that feeling um, and given me that real nostalgia in the modern in the modern days. But for the most part, when I watch, and I gotta admit, it's an '80s movie that I watch the most. I'm one of those guys who will take hours, take 45 minutes, either going through a streamer or in my own collection, and I'm just looking and I'm, trying to pick out what I want to watch at times. And for the most part, it always goes back to picking out an '80s movie. Um, so I, it's always there, and for the most part, whatever I'm putting in is always going to put a smile on my face, whatever it is, just because of the nostalgia of the time, the nostalgia of when I first saw it, etc. You know, yeah, most of the kids who were, and kids born in the '80s, unless it was like 1980 or something like that, I guess. You're more of a '90s uh, kid. My '90s were teenage and 20 years. I was going into my 20s in the '90s, um, and I feel like the '80s feeling was still there up until like about '95, '94, and then it was over. Um, and then it completely was a whole '90s thing, and then I was ugh, not on board for that. Aesthetically and musically. Ugh, garbage. Um, I've believe me, I've watched everything '80s. You know, I'm telling you, uh, it's you know, I have there's an '80s room in my house. This channel is devoted to the '80s. I haven't left the '80s since I was living in the '80s. Yeah, yeah. So there isn't a day that goes by where I am not celebrating the '80s in some way. Um, most of the music I still listen to today is all '80s music. It's uh, it's just it's just part of. And when I make my movies, you know, they're all very inspired by the '80s. So, but yeah, I don't know if you've been to this channel before, but you should go check out more of the episodes, the shows on the channel here, and get thick into my history and what this channel is, and all the shows we have on this channel, and all the joy, all the '80s love, the magic that is on this channel for that. Word, you found it recently. Good. Yeah, I mean, listen, you just go through and there's probably something that's gonna, you know, interest you in the realm. And this channel, there's a lot of channels that '80s nostalgia channels that are focused on one thing, like toys or whatever it is, or they take a subject and then just talk about it. Uh, as far as like whatever it may be. Like they say, oh, well, today we're going to talk about, uh, I don't know, whatever the subject is, and that's just because it's an '80s property. And I don't do that on this channel. This channel is from my perspective. It's my memories. It's mostly my memories. Everything that I talk about on the channel is something that I went through, something that I remember, something that still sticks with me. Um, I do a compare, a contrast, compare that type of thing. Like this is I loved this in the '80s, and do I still love it now? Is it still a part of my life? And for the most part, most of the things are. Um, so that's what that channel is. It's more of a I'll get a lot of like, well, why don't you talk about this? And I say, well, that's because I didn't like it, or I didn't. That's not something that I gravitated towards growing up. Um, so I talk about the things that truly helped shape who I am, and that's what the channel is. So, there's plenty of channels out there who 80s nostalgia channels who do that and do their own thing, or they like take a subject and then they really go in deep about that subject. And I don't do that. Um, it's always all from there's the memory perspective, and what it means to me still to this day and things like that. On occasion, there's like because the channel is so geeky, there's new pop culture stuff that we talk about. My friends and my cousin and stuff like that. Um, we get into that stuff, like the Marvel universe and comic books and modern horror and whatever it is geeky that we may happen to like. Um, we do talk about that stuff. Uh, but yeah, primarily it's a nostalgia channel. I still love the Goonies. Yeah, I mean, people have their own thing, but you gotta remember, I am a very different human being because I haven't left that stuff. Like, I haven't put those movies aside and then I watch them again later when I'm an adult. I haven't watched it in like 25 years or whatever. That's not me. I watch so much of this stuff all the time, and I haven't stopped since I was a kid. So to me, yeah, the Goonies still holds up. you know, um, there's some movies that b- not just movies, but television, cartoons, all that stuff that definitely do not hold up. But I still have a special. memory, a special place in my heart for that. Um, but for the most part, uh, like even in my collection of all the movies and TV shows and whatever I may have, I don't just have things because it's 80s or a part of a series or something like that. If I happen to not like the movie or show or cartoon, I'm not going to own it. It's that simple. I think it's a waste. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of space. So it also really helps to pare down exactly what I like. Um, and that's it. This is you can walk into any of the geek rooms in this house and say, okay, well, this is Chris Sievert. This is what this guy likes. This is him in a nutshell. You know, so I love Stranger Things. Stranger Things is one of those things that I talked about earlier, where the people got it right. The people behind the scenes, the making of the show, they got it right, which is interesting because the Duffer Brothers did not grow up in the 80s. They grew up, they were born in the 80s. But I think because of what they were exposed to growing up, um, they were able to sort of bring that inspiration into the show. And certainly Sean Levy, who also produces the show, he was a teen and 20-year-old in the 80s. So he has a real good, he gets it, he knows it. So that helps as well. But I thought they did a fantastic job. That show 100% really makes it feel authentic to me, and I was there. So it does feel like that to me. But then there's some that, like, they missed the boat. They didn't quite get it. Um, but I don't know, Stranger Things doesn't really spoil the Goonies for me. I mean, Stranger Things is an amalgamation of everything that those brothers, the Duffer Brothers, sort of were raised on, by their family. Regardless of them growing up in the time. Again, they had the right parents showing them the right shit when they were younger. Uh, I mean, so much of, and that's another reason for me. So, so much of what I love is poured into that show. Um, you sort of have nostalgia for watching Stranger Things when Stranger Things wasn't even there, but because they got it so right, it's nostalgia of the time, and I love that. I do love synthwave. Yes, I do. um, in fact, a couple of years ago, a few of us went to a synthwave convention. It was like Neo Retro Wave Con, or I can't remember what it was called, but we went and had a good time. It's pretty rad, you know. Did, got all done up in the sweet '80s vibe, retro nostalgia, synthwave look, and everything, and it was a good time. Yeah, yeah, it was fun. In fact, I listen to synthwave a lot when I'm writing. Most of my new show that uh, I've been writing, I've been listening to synthwave. Midnight's good, Wave Shaper, you know, Parker, all that shit, man. I also really love Chromeo. Chromeo are just two dudes who do 80s electro funk. Um, everything they do is inspired by late 70s and 80s pop funk. Yeah, Chromeo, they're fucking amazing. I love them. Um, and they've been around for a long time now. But never, they never not get my toes a tapping, my body moving. They're so good. Chromeo. Hell yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, it like they really captured 80s pop funk. Uh, truly, it's like you're listening to an old band for the first time. You know, uh, from 1985. You know, it's they're great. They're great, and they're my age. You know, I'm 45. They were there. They were growing up in that, and they were listening to that as they were kids, while they were kids, and then huge influences. They're a great band. Definitely look them up. Yeah. Uh, Ultimate '80s toy. That's tough for me. Again, because I love so many, and I still have so many. um, See, I was a big, and I'm a big Kenner Star Wars guy, and that was the first huge toy for me. You know, I was 3 or 4 years old when I was getting my first Star Wars toys. 80, 81, during the Empire Strikes Back line. So Kenner Star Wars was my first like big toy, and I loved those um, right up until 1985 when they ended that the Kenner toy line, and then they brought them back in 1995. But that first initial Kenner toy line is huge for me. Also huge is Masters of the Universe. That was probably the second big obsession that I had was Masters of the Universe. Um, the toy line hit in 1982. It's 40 years of Masters of the Universe this year. Also on this channel is our Masters of the Universe show. It Crept from Eternia. But and I'm still getting, the I have a lot of original Masters from my childhood. I'm collecting the new Origins figures, which are out. Uh, yeah, but I also love Kenner's Real Ghostbusters. I loved Kenner's Mask. Mask was a huge deal for me. When Mask hit, it was fucking phenomenal. Mask is like a cross between GI Joe and Transformers. It's a kick-ass concept, but and I have recollected my Mask collection. Um, Kenner, I mean, I have a whole episode of all the Kenner properties that I love. Centurions were awesome, but yeah, I mean, I would think, I did have Hasbro's Transformers. I did have like a specific few of the Transformers. I loved the cartoon and all that stuff. But for me, growing up, I think Star Wars, Mask, Masters of the Universe, and Real Ghostbusters were like the biggies for me. I also love the Turtles. Um, yeah, I was big. Yeah, I like the Turtles when they came out. Oh, that's a shame. But you know what it is, though. I mean, I mean, I assume you're aware of what Mask is. Um, so awesome. Illusion is the ultimate weapon. Mhm. Uh, but I think the biggies, for people love GI Joe and stuff like that, and I certainly had some GI Joe, but it wasn't like a big deal for me. Um, and I certainly love that like all these like properties are sort of making a resurgence or coming back or in the case of Transformers have never left. You know, that's still so rad. But the fact that Masters of the Universe is back in a big way, I think that's awesome. And I've been recollecting my all the Star Wars figures that I had, um, which is nice. I'm almost done with that recollection. I wasn't a big, car dude. I never was. I didn't even really like Matchbox or Hot Wheels or anything like that. Cars are cars to me. Um, I think the appeal of Mask to me was that they turned into other things, Same with Transformers. Like, I don't care that it was a truck, but the fact that the truck turned into a robot and the robot turned into a truck, that's what appealed to me. As a huge '80s television fan, of course, I thought, Kit from Knight Rider was awesome. I loved the A-Team van, you know, things like that. But I did. I mean, the DeLorean is fucking amazing. I want a DeLorean now. If I had the money, I would totally own a DeLorean. Oh yeah, but the DeLorean is kind of cool, right? Indeed, yes. um, yeah, man, that stuff for sure. The Batmobile, 1989, Tim Burton's Batmobile. That's a rad Batmobile. Yeah. Yeah, I wanna recollect, the '89 Toy Biz Batmobile just to have in my collection. I would like it back, because it was a cool toy. I got a few Batman stuff over there. Can't really tell. Um, but yeah. Hey, thanks for talking with me, man. I was ready to just shut this down, but I appreciate the talk. It's good to talk geeky with somebody. I appreciate that. It is 5:12 p.m. here in New York, and in a few hours, I gotta get on a plane and go off to Florida. My favorite turtle movie is the original, 1990. Always has been, always will be. I think it's amazing. I still hate the fact that they haven't put out like a restored like 4K Blu-ray yet, because as far as I'm concerned, the movie looks pretty rough even on Blu-ray now. So I would love a, and they already missed the anniversary, man. I don't know what their problem was, um, but yeah, I mean the Henson Company and the creation of those the turtles, the animatronic heads and everything, and what they did for that movie. I mean, it's and it was and honestly, it was the closest to the comic book at the time, the Mirage Studios comic, not the Archie's version, which I also read, uh, but I like that it kept a little of the darkness uh, of the original comic, which I had. But the yeah, I loved it. The original movie is so kick ass. I love it, and it's my favorite. Favorite '80s babe. It's funny. There's actually a we did an episode on our favorite '80s ladies on the channel. I don't know if I have a favorite. I mention a lot on the episode, um, but yeah, I don't know. Go watch the episode. There's quite a few. She's one of them. Jennifer Connelly, 100%. I mean, really, Jennifer Connelly, circa 1991 in Career Opportunities is my favorite Jennifer Connelly, for sure. But Jennifer Connelly in that video is on my list as one of my favorite '80s babes. Uh, you know, she was super cute in Phenomena and uh, Labyrinth. You know, but I would rent Career Opportunities over and over and over again. Yeah, and genuinely, I think the movie is really funny, and it's a great John Hughes screenplay. Bobette the Bombshell. My goodness, a blast from the past. Hello. This isn't even really wasn't meant to be a live thing, really. I just was coming on to let people know what was happening, and with the show and with my current project, and this lovely fan from the Netherlands decided to talk with me. So, hello, Bobette. Hello, NES Addict. Hello. Um, we all want to. Well, I believe. I don't need to want. I believe. I know. So, but yes. Ugh, how you guys doing? Everything up to snuff with all you guys? Totally. Got the best hair. There's a little, you know, I don't know. I think it's just family. I think it's just good genes. You know, 45 is the new 25. I guess 30. I don't know. I mean, there's a little white in there, which the wife appreciates. But I don't know. My uncles still look like this too. They don't have a lot of white in their hair either. Embrace it. Embrace the white. I see it, like, if I let, like, this stubble come in a little bit more, I do see it a little bit more. There's some salt within that pepper, you know? But I'm not a beard guy. I don't like it on my face. So it's always got to go. Plus I maintain my childlike look. Bombshell, yes, I am still living in Rochester. Indeed I am. I am now in Webster. Uh, so I'm sure you are familiar, Babette Bombshell, with the garbage plate. You need a new He-Man commercial? Yeah, maybe one of these days. I don't know. It's like pulling teeth to get my kid to do anything with me these days, you know? He's 15 and too cool for school. All he wants to do is shred on his board and hang with his bros. Hanging out with dad is no longer a cool thing. You know? But, I mean, he's Mr. Skateboarder, but it's cool that he's like he really wants to like, shoot skate videos and edit them and all that stuff. So I'm gonna start teaching him the editing and all of that, which is cool. So there'll be some bonding there, you know. This was good. I'm glad some people popped by. I'm glad you got the ball rolling. Rolling films, rolling films, whatever. I'm leaving, going off to Florida later. I gotta go to the airport, so I was like, man, what am I gonna do until then? So that's initially why I decided to throw up the video and just say, hey, this is what's going on. You want cat? These cats are causing a commotion. Yeah, but you're hungry, huh? I am going to in Florida. I My buddy Clint lives there, and he is he's been a part of Warlock Home Video for 11, 12 years now. 12 years now, jeez. And he shoots everything we do now, and he is shooting my new show. But he's got all the equipment out there, and it's old stuff because we're shooting to tape. We're shooting broadcast because of the nature of the project. And I really need to go out there and see this set up, and we're going to do some test footage and all that good stuff. So I'm going out there for 4 days to hang with him, sort of get this situation locked down for the new project. So yeah, and it's just where I am right now. It's going to be. Oh, I'm going to Orlando. I was going to say where I am right now. I'm like, fuck this. This weather. I mean, New York weather is bonkers. It is bonkers. You know, it's such a cliche, but I mean, it's nonsense. One day it's 75 degrees, the next it's fucking snowing outside. Yesterday it was like 70 degrees, and today it's 23 degrees, and it's snowing. I hate it. So, you know, I am super excited to get into Florida, you know, and enjoy the heat. Of course, I gotta go to Disney. We're going to Disney on Sunday. Magic Kingdom. Yeah, I mean, in New York, it's 6 months out of the year, it's winter. It sucks. It really blows. Um, but we're here, man. We're not moving. I mean, we just got this new house. We ain't going anywhere, unfortunately. Uh, you know, I've dealt with the weather for 45 years. I can deal with it some more for the rest of my life here in New York. So I'm gonna take that vitamin D. I'm gonna take it all over my face and my chest and my nips, tips, and double dips. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna take that sun when I get in. And I don't like the Crocodile Dundee movies. Sorry, Rollins films. My wife really does. Loves those Crocodile Dundee movies. I was never a fan. What? Yeah, they do nothing for me. Come on. What do I care about Crocodile Dundee? I bet. I mean, it's true. It's true just for this region in general. Ugh, you know? Rollins Films, it's 80s, right? But that doesn't mean see, I don't like everything from the 80s. Uh, but what I do like, boy, do I like it. Do I wanna go back? Absolutely. 100%. I wouldn't even question. I wouldn't blink an eye. Somebody said, "I got a time machine. You want it?" I'd be like, "Yes, I do. Yes, I do." College of the Air, what film camera do you own or wish to own? I don't own any. My my homie has all the stuff. I've got my VHS, my VHS camcorder. I've got my VHC camcorder. I've got a digital camera, mini DV. But no, I used to geez, back in 2005 to 2010, 11. I had the Panasonic 24p, but that's it. Everything when we shoot the movies, it's our shooter who has all the equipment, and he shoots on the best stuff that is out there, I guess. Uh, he always makes our stuff look good. Babette, I've always liked all your films. Glad you are still being creative and kicking ass. Thank you, thank you, and it's great that you randomly always pop up still throughout the years. It's nice to see. It's like a warm blanket, you know. um, it's good that the crap is still sort of appreciated after all this time. You know, if you haven't seen the Weirdsies, please seek it out. It's one of it's probably I don't know if you've ever heard us talk about it, but it is my favorite film that I've ever done. Um, and I think as a collective, as a group, the people who have been doing this stuff with me for so long, they also agree that the Weirdsies is the best thing that we've done. So check that out. But you know, hopefully there'll be another best. I'm not done yet. This project is going to be fun. Working on this pilot, working on this show. Wellsville Nights. Gotta make it happen. Get it on a streaming service. Yes, Debbie. I mean, Debbie is probably everyone's Kevin Bacon. The amount of stuff that Debbie's done, man. You know, she's like the female Sam Jackson. You know, female Nick Cage, constantly working. Gotta hustle. I haven't seen Footloose. Is it worth it? I like Footloose. It's not like a favorite of mine. The soundtrack was for me bigger than the movie was. Certainly growing up in the '80s, because like any house party that we went to, or like at the skating rink, for any of that, like the Footloose soundtrack was everywhere when it was happening. You know, I mean, it's fun. It's ridiculous. It is a sublime '80s plot. You can't dance, and if you dance, there's gonna be consequences. But you know those kids are gonna dance by a crime. They are gonna dance, and dance they do. I'm gonna have to get going here soon, guys. I gotta feed all of the animals before I get picked up for the airport. Um, Holy shit, nothing but trouble. I see that Blu-ray just came out from Scream Factory or Shout Factory, whatever. Shout Select, or whatever it is. Um, that's a movie that my wife brings up every now and again because she and my wife is 9 years younger than me, and so it's a movie for her that like always freaked her out. She was just so disturbed by the movie, like if her family rented it or whatever. Um, but yeah, because of my weird sensibilities, I've always enjoyed Nothing But Trouble. And of course, I love Digital Underground, so it was always cool to see Digital Underground in there in the video that they made for the film. College of the Air. How much do you love Adventures in Babysitting with Elizabeth Shue? I love it a lot, actually. I love it a lot. Elizabeth Shue is one of my 80s girl crushes from back then for sure. Um, but yeah, I rented Adventures in Babysitting a lot in the '80s. Actually, it's one of the long line of films that I actually got to see in theaters when it opened and everything. 'Cause we were big movie people, my whole family. Babette Bombshell, amazing art direction and sets in that. Yeah, it's very, it's reminiscent of, to me anyway. I don't know if you've seen it, but I love this film because it's just so dirty and weird and disturbing. But it's called The Dark Backward, um, by Adam Rifkin, and I love that movie. It's such a slime ball of a film, but the for me the art direction is very similar. I love that stuff. Mm, Elizabeth Shue, she still looks good. Still looks good. But yeah, all right, guys. I should I should split. That's right, College of the Air. She still got it. She does. I'm gonna go be shooting in Nashville, but if you're gonna come down again, I'll play tour guide for you and get you park passes. Thank you, Bobette Bombshell. Thank you, thank you. Luckily, I have a buddy who works at Disney, and anytime we need the tickets, we we got that covered. But thank you. I will keep that in mind. And yes, my wife and I actually we go down to Orlando every year. But this year we aren't, and this is my only time, thanks to Clint. So, but anyway, thanks, guys. Thank you for popping in. Thank you, Rollin' Films, for getting the whole thing going, and anybody who's watching and who popped in just to see what was going on. Thanks for that, and thanks for the 1,600 subscribers that we're at now. It's pretty cool that this community still is going, and nice talking with everybody. And we will see you all soon. I'll try to get a more consistent thing going. We'll see. But until then, everyone have a great weekend. All right, guys. Bye. Bye.